Australia's election results over the weekend showed us a number of things. One being that Australians are moving quite progressively towards the left. That is really concerning to me. But also, it showed us that Australians at the same time are not moving too far to the left, because a lot of Australians rejected wholeheartedly Adam Bandt and the Greens party. A lot of the Greens members that did originally hold seats in the House of Representatives no longer hold those seats. It was an actual crying shame for the Greens, which I'm actually really happy about. And it was more a result of Australians choosing to go with the devil they do know rather than the devil they don't. And the devil they don't know being Peter Dutton, looks like Voldemort. And people didn't like seeing Peter Dutton. Loads of the polls that I was reading, the more Dutton showed his face in public, the more Dutton spoke, the more people started to go, I don't like anything you have to say. And the more they shifted towards Albanese, because somehow Albanese was more relatable to people. And, well, again, I'll say it, but they're more the devil that you do know, unfortunately, is better than the devil that you don't know. And in this case, we didn't really have many good options at all, which was rather sad. And loads of people in the last video that I made seem to think that I got no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to Peter Dutton. But it's not just me that has the same opinion that Peter Dutton wasn't a strong candidate. Peter Dutton, every single time that he announced a policy, he would always backtrack. He would always say something different. Some people were saying that he's a man of integrity. He was a former cop, and people were outright rejecting cops as being a leader of this country. And other people were saying that, he had Trumpian policies, so therefore this is a rejection of Trump. All those things are not true at all, except for the fact that, yes, he was a flip-flopper and he wasn't really strong in his conviction, so to speak, especially when it came to the mainstream media. Even though the mainstream media hated his guts, I get it, but still remain strong in your conviction. The couple of policies that I did like that he should have stuck with, but he never actually spoke about this, which was to do with the whole transgender nonsense that's going on in Australia. He sort of tiptoed around it, as it would seem. He went with the tax cuts, and then he didn't necessarily tell the truth on a number of occasions, which people saw and weren't happy about. And then he also was just like, Albanese's doing tax cuts on this end, but you know what? Under my government, my tax cuts are going to be quite considerate. And anyway, there's just loads of things that I didn't like at all. I didn't like either candidate. I didn't vote for either candidate. I just thought both of them were shocking. Both of them could have destroyed Australia. Albanese has already done a good job of that. And we're going to be looking like the UK and Canada very, very soon. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Albanese is very, very close with the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, and well, Keir Starmer said in a post congratulating Albanese the other day, saying that the two countries are really, really close. And I guess that means with Albanese importing the third world, we're going to end up looking like the third world very, very soon. So I understand that a vast majority of Australians, they're working class, they're hardworking individuals, and a vast majority of hardworking Australians don't really care too much about politics. This was actually the worst showing up. I think people just chose to cop a fine rather than vote. There was millions of Australians that didn't show up to the polls and didn't even vote. Even though it is compulsory for people in Australia to vote, this was record numbers we've ever had of members that in Australia that chose not to vote. There were also a vast majority of people that are new citizens happened to be part of the Muslim community that actually voted for Labor. And there was a celebration video that I saw going on after Labor won. So you import the third world and you make them your voters, then evidently speaking, the ones that didn't show up versus the ones that do show up, who are new citizens who are excited to vote, are obviously going to level them out, you know? So it was a huge victory for Labor. As we know, they picked up 80-something seats. So 87 seats at the moment, and counting is still continuing right now. The LNP has got now 39, and it looks like they are trying to pick a new leader to move the LNP forward. And all the candidates that I've seen so far that they want to, are up for the running for this top job, they're all rubbish except one. I'm blanking on his name at the moment, but still, all of them are shocking. But anyway, so the independents have got 9. Bob Catter's still got 1, which is obviously Bob Catter. Preferences are still going on at the moment. So whether or not people want Adam Bandt still to lead the Greens, whether or not he'll still hold his seat remains to be seen. But, it was just an absolute shit show, I should say, for the LNP, the Greens, which I'm completely happy about, and also the Teals Party, although the Teals are celebrating in Sydney at the moment because they really just took out the Greens. So the Teals are the Greens, Greens are the Teals. They're both really ridiculous and radical. So we'll wait to see what ends up becoming of Adam Bandt and who is going to take over the top job. I saw a post, I don't know if it's true or not, but if Adam Bandt loses his seat, then Faruqi, which she was saying that this entire election is all about freeing Palestine. That goes to show you how much she really cares about Australia. And also the flag, uniting under one flag, one Australia, one nation, that sort of thing. Pauline Hanson did really well. She could have done better. Let's just say that. But loads of people, obviously she is in Tasmania, I believe, and Tasmanians steered directly towards the left, which means that they are fairly radical in most cases. And then obviously you got Melbourne, which is the wokest state in Australia, WA, which is bought off by China. And that's another thing as well that most people need to understand is that Albanese and his government are mostly bought off by China at the moment. And I saw another photo. Basically, it says South China. That will become Australia very, very soon because Australia's bought up the land. They've bought up the politicians. Why invade when they can just buy up everything, especially when Albanese's soul is a dime a dozen because he's a spineless weasel. And yeah, I was looking at this entire campaign and everything that's going on with the housing crisis, the groceries at the moment, even though inflation, for some reason, inflation is apparently down to a new record low, and yet you still feel it in your pocket. It's because the Reserve Bank, man, they've still got interest rates quite up, really high. The moment they drop that, Albanese needs to put pressure on Coles and Woolies, so it's not just one single monopoly. And you need a majority. We need to have more competition in this space. But anyway, let's see what Albanese does. He said that he's going to have on the floor now, because he's in Canberra, he's going to protect penalty rates, which I actually like and agree with. People should have penalty rates. It's fantastic. But also, in saying that, you should raise the wage to meet the inflation at the moment because people are suffering. Anyway, those are my thoughts on what's taking place at the moment. I know people agree with me and I know some people don't agree with me, and that's totally fine. I'm not a big fan of I'm not a big fan of Australian politics. Let me just say that. I'm not a big fan of politics anywhere, to be honest with you, but I will talk about it when it is necessary. And obviously because we had a giant election. So hopefully this helps explain a little bit more. But anyway, you guys take care, be blessed, and I'll see you all in the next video.